Hello viewers, subscribers and fellow RC pilots, welcome to Stuart Warne RC here on this glorious spring day today. Still in Corona semi-lockdown as it were. Some restrictions still apply, but what it means is I'm still able to get on and do some stuff around the house and garage, with planes I mean, and this is going to serve as an introduction to the restoration of this model behind me. This is a Sig third scale Spacewalker. The span on this is around 2.6 meters, which is around 104 inches, and it's for anything from a 20 up to 40cc engines, and we'll talk about the engine in this in just a minute. Now this particular model, as you can see, it's not in the best condition. I got this off a clubmate of mine called Arthur, and I was tossing up between this and the Flybaby that I've got inside as to what to restore next. Then I saw that he was working on new cylinder heads, Scouse cylinder heads, 3D printing some for his cowl. So Arthur, that inspired me, thank you very much, and I'm now going to crack on with this. What we're going to do in this introduction video is just talk about the model, have a look at what I've got to do, and then I'm actually going to take the cowl off for the first time, and then we'll take it from there. Now, this model was second-hand. I think this one has probably been owned maybe 3 or 4 times now. I think the model is around 25 years old. I did get a message from someone on one of my videos that they said they knew about the model, so I'm hoping to hear back from them at some point soon. But it's actually very, very well built, but it is in a bit of rough condition in terms of, I mean, if we'll have a look at the covering here. I should say I did pull some of this off myself, but this part was already exposed here, and there's been some patch jobs done here, really quite poor condition at the moment. All the rigging wire will be replaced, that's just aesthetic anyway. But what I've been able to do, because of the covering coming off and being pulled off, I've been able to have a look at the condition of the model. And if we get a close-up look, considering its age, which is about 25 years old I think, and if you look under here, I pulled a bit off as well, the actual airframe itself is looking in really good nick. So I'm really pleased with that. So I will first of all strip it off completely, assess the damage. I know that the tail plane is loose, so I need to reconfigure that. I've got a new scheme in mind, and I'm probably going to replace all the servos because they're very old servos. They're the big quarter scales one. Let's have a look inside the wing there. Very nice wing construction. And I'm going to have to run the engine. This part came off. This is the velocity stack, sorry. So I have to get a new one of those. Speaking of engines, this is a Zenoah. I've never had a Zenoah before, but it's a Zenoah 38. Very old, but very reliable engines. A little bit heavy, but good for this type of model. So first things first then, that's the overall model in its condition. I'm now going to quickly put the camera down and take the cowl off for the first time. I've never seen underneath this cowl. It looks in reasonable condition. I've never seen the engine up close in person without the cowl on. And when I come back and do this, finally I'm going to put some dummy cylinder heads on there to really finish it off nicely. Let's get you another view underneath there. Well, you're probably wondering about the wing panels. If we come over here, these are the wing panels. Wing panels are in good condition. Nice big ailerons, really, really nice, almost scale-like construction there. Good lightweight units, and they just bolt onto the side, so it's really easy to transport. Anyway, let's put the camera down. Let's take the cowl off, and let's see what's underneath there. Okay, so we have taken the cowl off, and this is the Zenoah 38. Very, very old engine, but very reliable. This is something I've not had before. This is I think they call it magnetic induction, if you can see that there. Let it focus. So this magnetic inductor is, you know, part of the ignition system. It creates a spark here for the plug. So there's no separate battery needed for the ignition. Now the first thing I notice, the exhaust here and the firewall, if you can see there, there's quite a lot of burning there, and if you can just see in there, I can get zoomed in, see if that's gonna work. Come on, where are you? See if I can get it to focus for you. Not quite. Oh, there, maybe there. You can see that there is some bolts or screw heads, bolt heads at the back of that exhaust, and they're touching the firewall, and what you can see there is burning on the firewall, and look at all that residue under there. Not so encouraging. I mean, it's been flying like that for years, but I don't like the idea of the exhaust touching the firewall. That's going to create undue vibration, but also as you can see, it's burnt it quite a bit. So I checked with the cowl on. The cowl itself is in very good condition actually, so that's good. Clean it up, get that resprayed. But what I might do is just bring the engine forward a bit if I can, just to get those screws off of the firewall, let a bit of air circulate behind it, and I think by the looks of it may need a new exhaust. We'll have to have a look. Seems to be a crack or something there. Again, it's an old system, so I need to do a better job there. But the engine, that's it bolted on. Brute of an engine, it should work well. And that actually, for now, is, I'll just turn the camera, is this part of the video. So I'm going to have a look at that, have a little closer think to myself about the engine, and then we're going to strip it down and then assess the full amount of work that's needed to get this model up and in the air. I just don't think it'll be too much of, basically I think it'll be doing internal repairs, a recovering job, reconfiguring, putting the servos in as I like them, reinstalling the electronics in the tank and everything else, and obviously there's a bit of work to do here, and the undercarriage will need some work too. So I'll see you at the bench once I've stripped this down and we've got it all laid out naked in front of us. Okay, so I've started stripping down, just done on the fuselage now. I'll move on to the wings and the tail section later. What I've been using is a heat gun, and I tell you why. This is covering that I lifted up before I had the heat gun, and what it's done is left some of the pigment of the covering on there, and I'll give you a demonstration of what happens if you just keep pulling. See that? I'm just making more work for myself there. So I want to avoid this, and as you can see here, it's really nice and clean. What I'm going to do now is quickly give you a demonstration how to use, simply use a heat gun. I found it to be very, very effective to stop all of this, because this is just extra work. Okay, so here we go, heat gun just on the mid setting, and you just let it get a bit hot like that. You'll notice that it changes colour, and then if you lift it off at this point, what you should see here, look at that. Nice and clean. Let's try again on this part here. Big bit of the elevator. Okay, you ready? Let it discolor a bit, and then that comes off really nice and clean. So I'm now going to carry on with this, stripping this down, take my time, and we'll come back a little later on once everything's stripped down and I've assessed exactly what needs doing, and then I'm going to make a shit list basically of the things that need fixing or things I want to change, stuff like that. And then I'll know exactly what I've got in store. For example, someone's made a rather dodgy fix here with a toothpick. That's not gonna go. That's not gonna fly. The don't know if you can see here. Look, all these stringers are loose, and this top deck former has completely come off. So there's a lot of work to do. Well, not a lot of work, but some work to do on the back there. It's so old that it's got a bit of mold. If you can see that there, it doesn't really affect the wood. That just brushes off. So I have to brush all of that off. All of these have definitely got to go. That'll be part of the list. Big old servos. This is the wood under the firewall that I mentioned. Looks like there's a bit of exhaust and fuel residue staining. This is very black, but I think that might clean up with some acetone. There was actually black silicone on here, and I think you can get an idea of just how burnt it is behind there. Maybe I can fix that exhaust. I don't know. I have to clean it up and see. But for now, I am going to get on with cleaning this up, and then we'll come back and assess it once it's all stripped down and we know where we stand. So one little other tidbit, I've got the covering off. If you have, like I've got here, just some residual colour left on, you can still use your heat gun and a sharp blade, warm that up until it bubbles, as you can probably see there, and then just scrape it off, just like that. Okay, you join me in a rather messy workshop because I'm going to give you a brief update on where I am, and then we'll finish off this part 1 restoration of the 3rd scale Sig Spacewalker. Now what I've done here, I've removed the engine. Here's the engine, the Zenoah 38. It seems like it's in pretty good condition. Last I heard it was running very well. I've got to change some gaskets on there and should be pretty much good to go. Probably change the spark plug too. Again, excuse the mess, it's a very untidy workbench right now. I've been cleaning away the oily fluid as much as I can with a brake cleaner. That seems to work quite well, but some of the firewall here was actually had oil soaked into it. So this is actually a plywood unit, so I've cut away that part and also this part here, and I filled that in with some more light ply, or birch ply, sorry. This part here I'm going to keep open because that's actually when the engine's bolted, or the engine's bolted on this way. When the engine's bolted on that way, if you remember, the exhaust was hitting on the firewall. That's what those burn marks are there. So I've cut away that slice there, and I'll keep that cut away. Once that's all sanded down and flush, that will get another coat of fuel proofer, so it will look very similar to its original state. Moving around the model, there was also some balsa that was a bit fuel soaked here on this part, and if on this section here. Now it doesn't look so bad, but you got to remember that I try to clean it up, but covering doesn't really stick to fuel soaked wood, so that's been removed. We'll keep this as a template, and I'll create a new one. Oops. And a new piece of light ply in there. That will all be sanded down. All these servos are ancient and there's no way I'm going to be using those, so they will be replaced. I think what I'll probably do, if we come down to the tail, you can see how much more I've stripped away. I've taken off the horizontal stab and the horizontal tail and the rudder. Now what I'm probably going to do here is put 2 servos either side of the elevator so they're independent. Makes setting up easy, and it gives a nice direct drive to the elevator. Pull will remain on the rudder. You can see the pull wire there, but it's got this kind of bell crank system operating at the moment. That's going to go. There's quite a bit of slop in there, and I'll probably just mount, because I'll have room here now, I mount a single servo in the middle here to drive the rudder and the tail unit. So old electronics that need to come out, and then if we turn it over, this is the fuselage all stripped down now. A lot of these stringers came loose. They will be either fixed or replaced. Also, a good tip, all of these glue joints, they're really quite old, so I'm going to go over every single one with some glue, probably medium CA or maybe thin CA, and then that will certainly help and make it last for years to come. There is, if you can see, let's give you a good example, see that, I guess it's like dust or mold or whatever it is, but it does come right off just with a piece of foam. You can see it in the light there. So I'm going to take this outside one day and I'm going to go around and clean the whole airframe. The inside skin here, this is just balsa and it's quite weak and thin, so I'm actually going to line this with some birch ply on the inside, cut that to shape, and then I'll be able to stain it to be a nice stained cockpit, as it were. I'll probably add a few dials and whatnot there, and then I need to add those stringers, as I said. Then I'll move on to fix the the tail plane, because you can see it's moving around there. So I've got to fill that all in. All these structural joints are going to be, I'm going to add extra balsa to support those there so they don't move around or come loose again. And that will pretty much be the fuselage done, getting it ready for recovering. And then at that point, I will move on to the wings. That's pretty much it. So I am going to sign off at this point. I'm going to get sanding on this and get some varnish on there. And then when we come back in the next update, hopefully I'll have the fuselage certainly all done, ready for covering, and we'll probably start on the wings and then probably cover some of the covering, if you pardon the pun, at that point too. Alright, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!